We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani, and you're tuning in. I think it's Tuesday today, right? It's Tuesday. Glad to be with you. We want to know who you are, where you calling in from. Wherever you may be around the country, just give us your name, your city, your state, your country. Just rep it so that we can acknowledge you. Couples Academy is a show that we do every single morning at 9:30 a.m. where people from all around the world hang out to talk about love, life, and relationships. And we're going to continue in a series. Actually, it's the beginning of a new series. We've been talking about it. It's how to break the cycle of infidelity. I think that this is an important topic because there's so many people who are struggling with this particular issue and can't seem to break the pattern or break the cycle. And I think it's worthy of a conversation that we want to take our time with to really give people what they need and what they want. All right. So before we get started, just know we want you to like, share, and subscribe. Let the community know that we are live. We want to increase this audience so that we can get this message out to more people. All right, breaking the cycle of infidelity. First of all, we have to be able to understand certain things. There are going to be terms or words we use that may be loaded, that are difficult for people to accept, that people have a tendency to struggle with, because I think it's a part of the minimization or the lack of awareness or the lack of acknowledgement, not wanting to say certain things because if I say this or if I believe this, then it means something completely different for me. But I think it's important that we understand what an addiction is, because by definition, an addiction is defined as a chronic, relapsing disorder characterized by compulsive drug seeking, continued use despite harmful consequences, and long-lasting changes in the brain. Okay, now it's using drugs because it's talking about a drug addiction, but we know there can be an alcohol addiction. We know there can be a masturbation addiction, a porn addiction, a sex addiction, an affair addiction. An addiction simply means it's something that you keep relapsing, right? You keep going back. Even though that there are harmful consequences to you in the relationship, something keeps driving you back. We know that there are people who literally love their spouses, but they can't seem to break away from, let's just say, an affair. I don't know what it is. I don't know. My mind, I really consciously, I want to do better. I want to do the right thing. I want to honor you, but something's happening that keeps drawing me back. That is an addiction. And I think that the sad thing is most people don't take ownership of it. As they say, knowing is half the battle. Once I know a thing, then I can do something about it. But if I live in denial and if I don't take the time to acknowledge, then guess what? My problem will remain, because guess what? I don't have a problem. Now, we're talking about the pattern or the cycle of infidelity. We're not talking about someone who's been unfaithful in times past and they're, still trying to restore trust and go through a process of forgiveness and get in right alignment with your spouse. We're talking about somebody who constantly keeps going back, a repeat offender. It's the same occurrence again and again and again and again. And so we sometimes say, well, you can't love me if you do this. That's not necessarily true. It is not a demonstration and behavior of love. Absolutely not. You can have a love and a care for somebody, but there's something within you that you have not controlled, that you have not managed or maintained, and you keep slipping into bad behavior. And I think the challenge is a lot of times when a person is unfaithful, the focus is on the spouse who has received the hurt, the one who's been betrayed. And we know that she's hurt or he's hurt, broken, and has to go through a process of healing and transformation. That's where the focus begins. But the one who actually caused it, we say this all the time, there was hurt and pain that caused that person to do what they did. There was brokenness that caused that person to do what they did in the first place. And their actions created hurt, pain, and brokenness in somebody else. And so we have to look at what's going on inside of the person that keeps drawing them back to that same negative pattern, that negative spiral that impacts them and impacts their relationship. These are the things that we need to talk about. Because just to say, I'll never do it again is not enough. It's not enough. It's naive, okay? To think, I've been doing this for so long and now I'm going to make the decision that, you know what? I'm done with that. I don't need any help. I don't need any recovery plan. I'm strong. And guess what? My decision should be enough. And guess what? You should just trust me. No, sucker, I shouldn't. Because there has been a pattern and a cycle of bad behavior. Okay? And so in terms of how do you break the cycle? Number one, you have to make a genuine decision to stop. I want to focus on the operative word, genuine. And so the question is, why are you stopping? Are you stopping because you got caught and you have to lay low and you can't engage in that? Are you stopping because of, if I don't, I may lose my marriage? So now I'm stopping because I don't want to lose my marriage. Is that the right motivation to stop? I'm stopping because I realize it hurt you. You didn't know that before you got caught? You didn't know that when you made the decisions to do what you did? You didn't know that hurt would be a part of this process. That's why you're stopping? Okay, so your motive for stopping has nothing to do with you. Do you get that? You're stopping because you don't want to hurt, or you just realize you hurt someone. You're stopping because you don't want to end the marriage. You're stopping because you got caught. None of that has anything to do with your moral conviction, your realization that, you know what I did was devastating. No, your decision has nothing to do with, you know what? My moral code suggests this. I've done this. I'm out of alignment with myself. Your decision to stop has nothing to do with the pain, not only that is causing your partner and your children and your community, but what it's doing to yourself. Maybe you haven't taken the time to unpack what it's actually doing to you. Your moral conviction has nothing to do with, I just need to become a better version of myself, and this is something that I can't associate myself with. Like, until your desire for it changes, the temptation to do it will always be there. If I love sweets, I can know that it's wrong for me. I can know I shouldn't do it. But I love it so much. Oh my God. Well, that love, that passion, that desire, well, guess what? Draw me closer to the very thing that I'm trying to stop. So there's an internal transformation that you've got to go through. We're talking about change and transformation here. So making a decision is not enough. You've got to have an internal transformation. And so when people say, hey, I'm going to just change, let me talk to you about the challenges with change that we're not aware of. Number one, people say, well, I have willpower and I won't give in to temptation. Really? You have the willpower. Well, let's look at this. Think about anything you've ever wanted to do that required willpower. There's a statement that I heard someone say, willpower is not on will call, meaning is not available for you whenever you want it. Typically, people have willpower in the mornings, and that willpower begins to dissipate, as you enter into the afternoons, and then it almost completely vanishes when you get into the evening. So you wake up with strength, with ability, with focus, with determination, and throughout the course of the day, it diminishes a little bit, right? So willpower is not on will call. And even if you have willpower, think about you make a decision to do something. You have a 100-day challenge. For the first 2 weeks, you're good, right? You're in your flow. You're consistent. You're doing everything, dotting every I, crossing every T. You're going through all the steps, all the processes. You're good. You're checking boxes. Boom. And then something happens that third week that just knocks you off your course. And now you got to pick yourself back up again and get back into the rhythm and the flow. And you don't have as much willpower as you did in the beginning. So you can't just rely on your willpower. And when your willpower begins to diminish, guess what? temptation comes knocking at your door and you don't have the strength to overcome it like you did when you first started. So that just can't be enough. Another challenge with change is this. Oftentimes what we do is we say, you know what, well, I'm not as bad as such and such, or I'm better than such and such. So now what we're doing is we're comparing ourselves who are not as good as we are in particular areas, or we're comparing ourselves to people who have a struggle that is bigger than what we're struggling with. And so we make ourselves feel good. Well, at least I'm not that, and at least I don't do that, and I ain't do that. And so we're making light of what we have done. We're minimizing what we have done. And we talk about this binocular effect. You put binoculars on, you could turn them to the left and to the right, which means that you can enlarge and you can shrink the image that you're looking at. And we have a tendency of shrinking and minimizing our own actions, which forces our partners to maximize them. And if you can shrink and minimize what you've done, it was really no big deal. All it was what you're doing is you're making light of the devastation. And that is hurtful, not just for your partner, but for yourself. Because subconsciously, you can begin to justify why. You begin to say, it was no big deal because it was only. No. If you truly want to overcome something, you have got to realize, you've got to study it, right? I think what happens is in the recovery process, typically the betrayed spouse is the one who studies everything about the affair. They're so knowledgeable about the inner workings of an affair, why they happen, the motivations, not just the cause, but the effects, and the road ahead. They are like, they've gotten like almost like their master's degree, their PhD in this recovery process. And the one who has done it, they've experienced it, but that sometimes they remain ignorant about the very nature of it, the consequences of it, the aftermath of it, the process of recovery. They're not aware. You have to become a student of the very thing that you've slipped into. Because once you gain a level of awareness and have that aha moment, you're like, I never knew. Oh my God, no clue. So your understanding about what you've done can help you to break the cycle. A lot of times we do things in ignorance, and when we come into an awareness of something, then things change. But to compare yourself to people who are worse off than you is the wrong move. You should compare yourself to people who are better, because it should motivate you to become better. Compare yourself to people who have overcome, to people who haven't slipped in, to people who have high moral character, to people who have a track record of overcoming temptations. Like, study that so that you can figure out what you could take from them in terms of life lessons and, applications to apply into your life that will make a difference for you. The next thing that makes change so difficult for people who say, I'm just not going to do it again. They say, I won't get tired and my enthusiasm will not fade. It's kind of similar to the willpower, but it's slightly different. And we think we're always going to be on this high. Think about anything. Think about the car you get. When you first get it, you're excited. Oh my God, you want to drive that car. You're making sure that it's clean. Nobody's eating in that car, drinking in that car. You're going on your joyride. You are in love with that car. After a couple of weeks, it's just a car. You get that job. Oh my God, I got my best job. I love it. I love my employees. I love going into that environment. I love the culture. I go to work early. I stay at work late. I'm just in love with my job. And then eventually, it's just a job. Oh my God, for Christmas, I got these brand new pair of shoes, and I love these shoes. These shoes are sleek. These shoes are sexy. Oh my God, I can't wait to the outfits I'm going to wear with these shoes. But eventually, after a couple of wears, they're just shoes. Isn't that the case with everything? The thing that you are excited about, the thing that you are passionate about, the thing that you are enthusiastic about, over time, it's just a thing. And so your enthusiasm, your fervor, new, we say this all the time, new is sexy. But when the newness wears off, yeah, I know I got to do that. Yeah, I know. Yeah. See, that's what happens. So you cannot rely on enthusiasm to carry you through to the end. think about a marathon. when that gun sounds and you have to run it, you have 28 plus miles. You may be coasting for the first 5, maybe 10, but after a while, stuff starts kicking in. Stuff starts getting, there's a struggle. Right? There's a psychological hurdle you have to overcome. There's a physical hurdle you have to overcome. It's a journey. And to get there may be some obstacles, some challenges, some setbacks, some things you didn't anticipate. Likewise, in your journey to recovery, in your journey to become your best self, best believe that this world will bring opposition and resistance and opportunity that becomes very tempting to knock you off your square. You got to be mindful of this. Because if we're going to break this cycle of addiction, we have to be mindful of all of the traps, of all the temptations. We've got to almost anticipate the unexpected, because when we begin to do that, all of a sudden we have a level of awareness that we didn't have before. Guys, we're talking about how to break the cycle. We're going to take our time with this because this is what we need to hear. In essence, we're talking about how we need to shift our thinking and our approach to change so that change can be possible. You're watching the Couples Academy Show. We'll be back in just a second. Good morning, everyone. If you're just tuning in, this is the Couples Academy Show. Glad to have you with us. I see all the family in the building this morning. Too many names to go through, but we're glad that you're here. And I love the fact that you take the time to comment. It's like a call and response to what we're talking about, but also you connect with each other. And that's what this is all about, guys. We're talking about how to break the cycle of an addiction. It is a cycle. It is a cycle, but all cycles can be broken. And a cycle is a pattern. All patterns can be broken. How? Well, where does the pattern begin? Where does the cycle begin? Oh, right there. Okay, right there. And that means, what was the origin of it? Oh, this behavior led to that, which led to that, which led to that. So if I can get to here, because all behaviors are a formed habit that we do repeatedly again and again and again and again and again. If I could break this habit and remove that, maybe that whole cycle comes falling apart. And then I can create a new cycle based upon a new habit. A healthy habit. Not all habits are bad. Some habits are good. And if I can begin to establish a healthy, good habit and build a healthy foundation to support it, boom, I'm in the right direction. Which actually takes us to the next point. And this is huge. One of the reasons why people struggle with change. You know what I hear people say? I don't need help or structure. I'm good. You are not good. You know, a person who says that they don't need help, that's scary. I don't need that. I don't need to join some support group. I don't need other men knowing what's going on with me. I don't need to talk to other females about my situation. I can figure this thing out on my own. You know how many times a spouse comes to me and I say, well, is your partner on board? Like, you're coming to me for couples counseling. Is your partner on board? No. He doesn't feel like we need it. He doesn't feel like we need to sit down in front of a counselor. We can figure this out on our own. Well, how long have you been in these struggles? How long have you had this problem? About 10 years. Oh, but he thinks that you can figure it out on your own. Well, why haven't you done that then? Because you can't. This is why we always talk about that Albert Einstein quote, you will never have, or you can never create a solution from the same level of consciousness that created the problem. So you have to think different, and you have to have new knowledge, new insight, new understanding in order to do something new and different. And this is where help comes from. You need someone outside yourself that you could submit to. Understand, curse word, submission. When you learn to submit to the wisdom, the expertise, and the brilliance of another person by humbling yourself, and then taking that back into your life and into your relationship, change can begin to take place. There's something powerful about a group. There's a collective intelligence when you join a community, a small group, people who have experience and know-how and understanding in places and spaces that you don't. And just by being a part of an association, you begin to glean from other people's experiences, their wisdom. And then, wisdom, what is that? It's learning from other people's mistakes, not necessarily your own. Like, that's wise. I'd rather learn from your mistake than have to make the mistake again and again and again. And through trial and error, learn from my own mistake. So being a part of a support group, that's support. That is a form of structure. That is help. Going to a counselor, having someone with a spiritual wisdom and authority in your life that you can consult with and you can learn from, learning how to step out of your own way because your wisdom has taken you as far as you can go. And in order to go to the next level, you need to annex the wisdom of other people. And that's what happens when you get the help that you need. So if you are resistant to help, you are your own worst enemy. You are building a wall around yourself that will keep you trapped in your own misery, trapped in the pit of your pain, trapped in your addiction, trapped in this cycle that you can't get out of. You need someone else. So who do you listen to? You listen to people who have what you want and have been where you are. If you're struggling with an addiction, listen to someone who's overcome it. They've been where you are. They've overcome it. They can share with you a pathway to get to a better place. So for people who say, I can just do it on my own, you are deceiving yourself. Never. The next one. I won't get distracted and nothing unexpected will occur. If you live life long enough, there will be distractions. There will be things that happen that you did not anticipate. And this is the challenge, right? Because you're in this flow, you're doing the right thing. Just think about alcoholics, who go through recovery. 59 days. I haven't taken a drink. I've controlled my environment. I've been very careful what I've done, all of that. I have a routine. I have a rhythm. I have a process that I go through, but I do have to go away on this business trip and I'm leaving my environment and I'm leaving my normal routine. And, I'll be good though. I'll be good. Then I go and then I'm at a business dinner and everybody's having drinks and it's just a celebration. And it's around me. I'm seeing it. I'm smelling it. I'm seeing people drinking it. I did not anticipate this and boom, I'm right back. Cannot that happen when it comes to sex, when it comes to affairs, when it comes to connecting with people that can compromise the integrity of your relationship? So to assume that you will not get distracted and that there will not be any unexpected situations that happen, it's crazy. You have to anticipate what may happen. I tell people all the time, you got to plan out scenarios. So the fear is, well, what if it happens again? Well, let's talk that through. Let's talk through the possibilities of what could potentially happen in the future. Well, this could happen and that. Well, you're right. Well, let's come up with a plan for that. Let's run some drills around that particular scenario. So when that scenario happens, boom, I already know how I was going to respond because I planned it out. I already know what to look for because I was in anticipation of something attempting to knock me off of my path. See, that is how change happens when you take responsive, not reactionary steps to solving a problem. The next one, if I change, I'm being inauthentic. I hear this so much. A person who knows that they're doing wrong, but then when it's time to make necessary changes, well, I don't, scale of 1 to 10, your willingness to change. I love who I am. I'm not trying to change. A 5. Really? You have a 5 willingness to change? Yeah, because if I change, I feel like, I don't know, I'm not being authentic to who I am. You know what I feel? I feel like I'm betraying myself if I change. Well, your behaviors, your thinking, your ways have gotten you in the situation that you're in. And it's going to take doing something different, thinking a different particular way to get to a better place. So change is inevitable. Impermanence is inevitable, meaning nothing is permanent. All things change. So why not get on the right side of change, okay, and do what's necessary to get to a better place so that you can have the relationship that you ultimately want. It is a cycle that needs to be broken. And guess where the cycle is, folks? Right here. You may say, I've got this yearning and this burning in my body, but that yearning and burning, guess what? Guess where the original thought or the origin of it is? Right here. It's in the mind. Thought leads to a feeling. Feeling leads to, a response. That instinct thing we feel, that urge, that tug, that addiction that we feel, it's all right here. It's in your mind. And when you begin to cleanse this and wash this and retrain your brain, even the Bible says, be transformed by what? The renewing of your mind. You have to have a new way of thinking, a new philosophy that undergirds the behavior that you're going to engage in. And when you do that, all of a sudden things change. Here's the last one. I have the wisdom to assess my own behavior. Really? You have the wisdom to assess your own behavior? Okay. Why do we have doctors? Why do we have coaches? Why do we have counselors? Why do we have pastors? Why do we have teachers? Why do we have people who are created and designed to guide you through a process and a pathway to become proficient in a particular space? Because you don't have the wisdom within yourself. They do. And so when you submit yourself to a community of support, it will help you get where you need to be. That is an arrogant, self-centered mentality. It's pompous, right? It's high-minded. You think too much of yourself. And that's why you remain in these cycles. And so we're talking about breaking the cycle, okay? Breaking the cycle that leads to infidelity. And so I wanted to take this slow so that we can build a foundation to go into areas that I feel are necessary to really break this thing once and for all. So if you are in a relationship, folks, and either you or your partner is a repeat offender, you want to tune in this week because we're going to be diving deep into it and giving you what you need. Listen, why do you want to go into 2022 with the same issues, same problems, same struggles, same setbacks, same challenges? You don't. And if you don't, you better grab your chair and pull on up and grab that paper and pen and take some notes and ask some questions because it's time for this to stop. I'm making a declaration. I'm being uncompromising that it's time for this to stop. We're not taking this into a new year. A new year, a new you, a new year, a new me. We're going to have something new in our marriage, and it all starts now. The buck stops here. So listen, guys, tune in every single day as we continue this conversation. And if you have particular questions, tune in tonight because we're going to be talking about that tonight on Ask the Experts. I hope you're tuning in and sharing it with other people so that change can begin to take place all around us. Love you guys. See you tonight, 9:30 p.m. sharp. Take care.